What's going on, everyone? How you doing? It's Micah, nicknamed Musa, host of the Something Like the Offseason podcast. Really excited about this next episode we have here for you all. We have none other than my fellow HBCU brother, rival college attendee, Howard, that is, Branden Bufford. Branden is an amazing guy with an even better story. One thing that I think you'll really come across with this particular story is how resilient this brother is. I mean, he gets into some of the details, but we're talking about walk on to undrafted free agent to working in academia to starting his own real estate business to even have some other side hustles he mentions here. I think it's a great story about consistency, a great story about how to maintain and build your own courage and confidence and how to really think through development and what it means to kind of take some time away to really invest in yourself. Great podcast. I love this episode. He's a great brother, good friend. Like, follow, subscribe, all those things. You know how it goes. To Something Like the Offseason podcast. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Enjoy the episode. Peace. All right, here we go. Bufford in the building, the big four.
Yes,
Starting
sir.
out the gate. What was the moment in high school you knew you were destined for college? What was the moment in college you knew you were destined for the L?
Yeah, so in high school, man, it was two instances. I saw one of my teammates who was 2 years ahead of me, Alan Langford, out of Detroit, Michigan. He ended up signing to play football at Wisconsin, had a good career there. So he was my big homie, showed me what to do, and seeing that, so okay, we could definitely make it from out the city and out of the school into the next level. And then with my own performance, we had a 707 camp down at Bowling Green. And I was just balling out there, making plays all around the ball, doing my thing. And they brought me inside the stadium for a little private workout. So I said, okay, the price going up, people are noticing me and what I'm doing and stuff. And so I knew right then, like, okay, college is definitely obtainable. And I do want to add a third one in there too.
Come on.
I went to Michigan camp. This is when I found out about the whole politics of sports. I went to Michigan camp and I'm doing my thing, but like, I'm getting no looks because they bringing in guys from Texas, guys from Florida, guys from Maryland. They already have them in their mind of who they want. And don't get me wrong, they were bigger and stronger and stuff. So I'm not even gonna hate, but they had guys all ready to go for their programs versus, in the mid-major and the MAC, they were just scouting talent and stuff. So those three instances let me know I could play college football.
Facts. And then how'd you know you had a shot at the league in college?
In college, then again, man, big homies that went before me, man. Prior to me getting to Howard, a guy from Detroit, actually, Ron Bartell, ended up going second round, man, which is, very, very high for corner, exactly. 6'2", running 4'3", man. It's kind of hard to get passed up, during that time. And then the year before I got there, Antoine Bethea, he was another guy, 757 area, got drafted, I think, 6th round. And then another guy from Detroit as well, who I actually played with. My locker's right next to his, Jeff Pope. Went to Eastern Michigan at first, transferred to Howard. Boy ran a 4.2, was in the league, got a ring with the Giants, played with Cincinnati, played with Philly. So I'm like, okay, like dudes from where I'm from are going to the league. So it was just a matter of me to take care of business for the next 3 to 4 years and getting my shot.
Sheesh. Buddy ran a 4.2. It's over.
4.25. I'm out of there. Sign me.
4.25 is completely reckless. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of second question right here. Who was your biggest comp? Who was someone you played against that you were like, you know what? This brother also, is legitimate. This is for real.
Competition. One that doesn't get mentioned a lot in Detroit, PSL Sports, Dominique Douglas, man. Freshman All-American at Iowa, but went to Murray Wright in Detroit. Dog, man, just nasty, just talented. You know what I'm saying? So him, somebody you and I share with is Willie Carter out of Howard. That boy could jump out the stadium, man, just bounce. You know what I'm saying? Also, another guy too. Actually, two guys were like kind of like a combo. I don't think you ever faced him though before you got to Hampton, but J-Boy, Jerron Williams out of Howard, number 1, little shifty guy. I don't know if I think they may
he
have
was
left
nice like that.
He was nice. He was I think he broke all the receiver records at Howard, I believe. And then his number 2, Larry Duncan, man, just solid, savvy receivers. Like LD wasn't the fastest, but just savvy. He just set you up on the route, stem you in the right way. And J Boy, just a nasty, just Florida boy, man, just cutting you up, talking stuff in your face.
He
So
had
he
dreads.
made me like, okay, like I'm facing dudes from all around the world. I got to toughen. I got to be able to talk it. And I got to be able to walk it. So like,
Right.
those people are stiff competition for sure.
Fire. Okay. Question number 3. Who was someone you played with or against that you felt didn't make it? We had the receivers there. Is there someone in the L that you played against that you thought like, you know what? This brother was elite. You know what I mean? Like maybe, right? If for another opportunity, they could do something crazy.
Yeah. Shoot, my homie, man, Terrell Upshaw, dog. Ball hawk, man. Big hands. Always
Safety?
just yeah, safety. Yep. Guy I
Mhm.
played with him in high school. Ball hawk. Shoot, even my roommate, man, Martin Cornife, dog. 6'2", 205, could run. Hey, love to hit. You know what I'm saying? Boy, hey, put his way. He wore an XL helmet, dog. So he had a big head. He could definitely put his hat on the ball. You know what I'm saying? So those two guys, man, I feel definitely had a legit shot at the league. Trying to think of anybody else. That's what I think of initially, man. Guys I played with that
Yeah.
just like
I like
maybe one or two more things fell in place where they got that shot, you know?
right. I love giving people their props because a lot of times people don't realize the difference between the guy who plays. It just might be who got hurt, what the scheme is, who the new
Facts.
DC is. So I'm
Facts.
always trying to, if there's an opportunity, man, get people to shout out people
And
who.
and that's the thing, man. Like going back to Dominique Douglas, it's full circle, man. I got signed with the Lions, luckily, and he comes with the practice. Like Buff, I'm like, wow, you should be here. Like you are way better than a lot of
Yeah.
people I played against, and way better than me as an athlete. But here I am, man. And I've heard that in another podcast where it's like, matter of fact, it was a podcast back home, Players Exchange with
Okay.
it was Derek Walton. He's like, you'll see guys in the league where it's just like, because he's played NBA, G League, everything. Like guys, just like a few situations, mistake, like you said, DC. If he just trained a little bit harder, if he went to that meeting, if he didn't get in trouble, they would be there. So like
Right.
making it all the way is definitely a blessing because there are guys who are definitely way better than me. I'll be the first one to tell you, man. I worked hard,
Right.
but there are guys
Same.
who are just more talented than I am, and I accept that.
100%. Okay. Question number 4. What is the nicest thing a coach has ever done for you?
Man, rest in peace, Coach Charleston Fobbs, man. He trained me that whole summer prior to going to the league. That was 2011. It was a lockout year. Him and
Oh
my other
yeah.
high school teammate, Joe Barksdale, who was a year under me but played at LSU.
Oh yeah. The
He was,
lineman.
yeah, exactly, Lyman. Yep. He trained him, and he let me hop on that whole summer, man. Got me right, got me to a solid buck 84.
Mm.
I was a machine, man. So I appreciate him for pouring that into me, man, and I really appreciate that from him.
Fire. All right. That's the big 4. So, you out there in Detroit, talk to me about the last 3 months of you and your NFL journey, what you were thinking about, what you weren't thinking about, and just where your mind space was. Like starting right there. Starting with you get that first cut. Where does your mind go?
I mean, I can take you because it was about a 3 month journey, literally. I mean, I got signed. I was there for the rookie camp. Got cut after
Mhm.
that, and then I got signed a couple months later. So everything was happening with like maybe a year of 2011. So the first cut with the Lions, I was mad because I had my best day of practice
Mm.
when I got cut. You know what I'm saying? Like after all the Twitter, after all the hoopla of being hype and everything, I'm like, okay, let's just lock in. You know what I'm saying? My best day of practice. I knew exactly all the calls and everything. I'm studying with your teammate Ricardo Silva. We locked in.
Solo.
And and that short little dude come out of nowhere, we in walkthroughs and say, come on, walk with me and bring your playbook. So I knew what was happening then. I guess I'd even take it back to undergrad. I made sure I applied to grad school. You know what I'm saying? Like I had something like if I don't do nothing else, I can at least go back to grad school, get more
Mm.
education, and have that, I guess, fallback plan. And so got that first cut with the Lions, started working, doing grad school, that whole grind, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? I gave them my all, whatever. And then I got picked up by Arena Football with Chicago Rush. And so got cut one time, got cut a second time. And second time I got cut, I said, you know what, I'm done, man, because they cut me over the phone on the way back from their away game. And I'm like, I can't bring me to the office to talk to me face to face, man. So I'm like, it's been a fun ride, met some cool people. I wish it were longer, but shoot, walk on HBCU athlete, being a pro athlete in 2 leagues, I hang my hat up on that. You know what I'm saying? Like not being all American, only had one interception. Like I wasn't the greatest. And I'll be the first one to tell you, but I just got, that everything fell in place how I was supposed to. And, it is what it is. So
Facts. The thought would be though, somewhere here in your story is like you're so scrappy. How you even got to the L is crazy. Why not, that second cut? Why not say, man, maybe they got it wrong and just say, you know what, I'm a hop back in. I'm gonna go to a pro day next year
Yeah.
and approach it like that.
Yeah. So it's funny you asked that, man. I talk to Casey, my wife, about this all the time. I got hurt against y'all my senior year. No, I said that bad. No, I got hurt. I got hurt in practice the week after. Excuse me. We got
Mm-hmm.
to Hampton, Howard Hampton. I got hurt. Had a heel spur out for a month. Came back home coming against Norfolk. Got a concussion like the first quarter. Out for the other week. And then I fall out the rotation, man. Now, mind you, prior to this year, I was on tap to probably go seventh round, preferred free agent. I was going to play in, at the time, it was the NFLPA Bowl, which is
Right.
comparable to
East
whatever
West.
go. No, it's a tier below East West.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
got you.
you know what I'm saying. So I was about to go into that whole situation. I was talking to agents. I had maybe two lined up. Like things were in motion. Like the traction was picking up. But that injury is what messed me up. And so I said, Casey, I probably should have took a 6 year. You know what I'm saying? It's already in my fifth year. I probably should have
Mm,
said medical red shirt. I only played, 20% of the season. I should have came back because my body was ready. I was mature. I would
right.
have dominated how I knew I needed to coming out of the MEA. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So I think that is well, looking back, of course, hindsight's 2020, but
Mm,
it's also like, I would have been in college longer. I don't know, it just would have been so many different things. But if I were
right.
to change anything, it would probably be just those things. I'd probably take a 6 year. And also I'd probably find a different agent, to be honest with you. So yeah, my
Yeah.
agent wasn't terrible. He was just a representation of because the head dude was a head dude, but he represented me. I should have been like a hometown guy, but it is what it is, man. Again, hindsight's
Exactly.
2020, and I don't regret anything.
Exactly. Exactly. Beautiful. So one of the things I think is really dope about you is that you get out of ball and you find your way into education. I don't. It's that's not a path we really hear a lot about. Talk to me about your interest first off in
Yeah.
getting into education post ball.
Yeah, so I mean, let's just be clear, man. This is outside of F football. This is just my family. I'm a second generation educator. My grandmother did 30
Mm,
years, aunt did 30 years, uncle did 30 years in DPS. So I was raised around it. You know what I'm saying? So it was never not in my mind. I think I came back to it in undergrad because I talked to my DB coach, Coach Bolton, one of the greatest coaches I've ever had. And I said, yo, I want to coach eventually. What should I major in? He's like, you should major in phys ed. And I'm like, okay, phys ed, is teaching. I'll have a job. And I'm also like, I want to make sure when I'm done with school, I need to have a job. So
right.
education, being a black male educator, that'll definitely put me in the right spot. So phys ed it was, and I actually got into it and really enjoyed it. Mind you, I came
Right.
into Howard as a bio major, but yeah, so came in as a bio major, switched it over to phys ed, loved education, knew that I had it in me by being raised by educators. And so it just all worked out, man. So it was a great major, and it's true. I probably could have messed around with the med school with all the science I took and everything, but it was definitely a great major and a good time. So
Beautiful. Talk to me about you mentioned it earlier, being like a black male educator, being just a male educator in general.
facts.
What were you experiencing in that education environment that you think kind of informed who you are today as a man? Moreover, because you now have kids and
Hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, so yes, I mean, so right now I'm still in education, and now I'm as a recruiter.
Hmm.
And as a recruiter, you see the whole scale of everything. I mean, historically, education is a white woman dominated field, but going back home to Detroit to teach, at the time it was one of the blackest cities in America. I think it's number two now to Memphis.
Hmm.
So going back in, it was like the fact that I left Detroit, got an education, played collegiate sports, got
Hmm.
lucky to play professional sports. I was I guess idol to most kids. Like, wow, Mr. Bufford, you did X, Y, and Z. And I started teaching high
Right.
school. Of course, they Googled me like, oh, Mr. Bufford, you really played for the Lions. So it was great to just bring, I guess, that energy that I experienced back into my city, just to give
Right.
hope. You know what I'm saying? And also teach them stuff. Like, look,
Right.
you're gonna learn how to take care of your body. Take care of your family's body. Take care of yourself holistically within this physical education space and everything. So for me, it was a wonderful job. I honestly miss it. It was a great job. I got to
Yeah.
wear sweats every day, work out with the kids, have fun, and just be, I guess, just that cornerstone of a teacher within the building. So I love it.
That's awesome, man. When I think about, obviously there's a lot of community packed into that response. When I think about
Thanks.
you, the first thing I think about is the fact that you're a real family man. Like, and not
Yeah,
just a real family man, but you're also on the whole, the wealth path for your family, right? So
facts.
it's no surprise that you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
Talk to me about how you start. For those who don't know, and you're going to talk about here in a minute,
sure.
you start dabbling in the real estate and you start taking it to another level.
Yeah.
Is there a relationship between your interest and involvement in the community and how you start to think about wealth creation and formation for the Buffett family and so forth and so on? Talk to me about that process, because it's
Yeah,
not
man.
something you hear a lot of people just jump on immediately, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny, I was talking to somebody else about this before. And before I started entrepreneurship, I made sure I invested in myself first. So I finished my degree. I got myself into a good job, finished my master's degree. Like I set myself up to where I can just rest here for a second. And I think that's very important because people are so like entrepreneur, generational web, like all these buzzwords. But you first got to invest in yourself before you're able to do that. You got to pour into your own cup before you're able to pour into others, or pour into another cup that fills you up. You see what I'm saying? So I would
Mm,
first say, before I even get into that, finish your school, get yourself in a good job, make sure your housing, your money, everything is set up so you can just think outside of what you're doing day to day. And so, I mean, you're also part of this story as well. We were living in DC. We moved back to the Midwest because we had a child at the time, and we both vowed to have our children raised around grandparents. Our grandparents are in Chicago and Detroit, respectively, so Midwest made sense. And so, moving back to the Midwest, Casey went to business school where she met you and where I met you as well. And we were at Indiana, and so I'm taking on full responsibility of of our daughter, like full time. So like I'm in Chicago doing my thing. And what made me think about entrepreneurship was like, man, like literally every second of my day is calculated. From the time I wake up, from the time I go to sleep. If I don't get up by this time, get out the house by this time, I'll be late for work and late for this meeting. If I don't leave work by this time, I won't be able to pick her up, catch this bus, get her home, get her dinner, get her in bed. I'm like, I hated my time being calculated to the second. So I'm like, how can I escape from every second being calculated? Like, what can I do? And real estate, I caught on to, I don't know how it came about, man, but okay, I do know how it came about. I called onto this podcast, Clayton Morris. Started hearing about real estate and how you create wealth and everything, and it just got to me, man. And so I found that one, found another one called Hood Estates, and then in my own just familial history doing, like I'm a third generation landlord. So my
mm,
grandmother, she has a 2-family flat. My father has 2 properties, and then I'm like, well, I guess it's kind of in me because my family's already doing this type of stuff. So yeah, so I think for my time being counted for me, that's what made me want to break out and do my own thing so I can have my time back. And as far as for my family, my thing is what's the point of being rich if your family can't eat forever? You know what I'm saying? And then I think that family part came more important when my father passed away in 2019. And so he didn't have a will, didn't have everything written up, but I'm not gonna lie, he had a great life insurance policy that set me and my brother up literally for life. And so
mm,
I'm like, okay, like this is how wealth is created. And talking to our state attorney, talking to our insurance guy, he's like, yo, like, the other people, you know what I'm saying, they do this stuff quite frequently, so this should be a discussion that's happening in the black household so that we're not just getting life insurance policies that cover just the funeral. We're not making, our son and daughter have to, have the house go into foreclosure because we didn't have a will. So two things. So my timing calculators would make me want to do the entrepreneurship thing. And then my
mm,
father passing away made me want to make sure I'm taking care of my family and anybody who comes after me. So
mm. Fire. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. One of the things you said that was really good, you were talking about in the beginning in your path, you understood the fact that, hey, I've got to invest in myself. When you started listening to these different podcasts, right? When did it become more real for you? Was it just a function of just continually listening and continue to believe it more and more? Or was it, more so a function of, you know what, I have to do something? Talk to me about like what was the catalyst that made you just, put the pedal and say like, all right, I'm gonna knock this out. I'm gonna do this.
yeah, I think it was a collection of information over time because prior to my real estate stuff, I just wanted to own a home. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to make sure I had a
Mhm.
house for me and my family. When
Right.
I was born, my parents brought me home to a home. When my daughter was born, we
Mm,
brought her home to a rented condo. When we moved to Maryland, we were in a rented apartment. So I'm like, I need ownership for my family. I was brought up in this. I want to bring my family up in this. So just hearing about like housing programs, first time home buyer programs, only putting 3.5% down, just that whole thing, like that information then rolled over into real estate and then everything. So like all the information gathered over, I say from 2017 to about 2018. Yeah, I guess about 2 years of information collecting, I was able to like, okay, got this information. And then in that Clayton Morris podcast, is like, don't get analysis paralysis. Like, you have to take action at some point, because if you keep just taking information, you're just going to be sitting there stuck. And so what I did, I found a first-time home buyer program in Illinois, and I finessed that and bought my own my first property. Luckily, Casey wasn't working, so I was able to use my own income. And that property that I purchased was previously a rental house. So I'm like, let's run the same play. Bought the home my birthday, December 13th, 2018. Had a tenant moving in January 5th, 2019. So like within a matter of a couple weeks. So I just did it, and I'm like, let's go, let's just do it and stuff, So one led to two led to three, and now we're up to 12. And we're not done, So
come on.
Yeah.
Dude, I love I love this story. I have you talk to people all the time. People listening to this. I have my youngins. I'll say, man, talk to Branden, man. Brandon's got something figured out over there. One of the things that, I do want to touch on is you're an undrafted free agent twice, as far as your pathway to college, your pathway to the L, your exit, now this solo entrepreneurship journey. Granted, you're married, so you have your wife. But talk to me about confidence in general, where you develop that confidence, how you keep applying it, because everything you've done has been against. Like and I say this respectfully, you would never always the favorite, at least
Right.
others, right?
Yeah. And I don't take it as such, but I think with the confidence, and let me think about athletically. I mean, I started playing sports at like 5, so I was playing basketball, just a little rec ball with the lowered rims. I played basketball pretty much from 5 all the way through like middle school. You know what? I'm glad you asked that question. What gave me the confidence I was actually good, like for real, legit good, was actually not in basketball or football. It was cross country. Middle school, I ran on. Yes. So listen, middle school, I ran on the cross country.
What?
Right. Threw you for a loop. Right. You weren't ready for that. Middle school, I ran on the cross country team. I would always come in first and second. And my main competition during that time was Justin Hernandez from a rival middle school. But I was like, it's a 1.5 mile run, and I'm just dogging it. Mind you, I'm like coming in like maybe a minute or two before everybody else. I said, okay, I'm actually good at something. You know what I'm saying? So I think that is what establishes my confidence. Like, I am an athlete. I can do these things better than other people. I played on the middle school basketball team my 7th grade year. Honestly, I wasn't that good. They didn't throw me in rotation that much. I wasn't great. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't great. Moved to a different school, 8th grade, couldn't play that year. But then I played football in 8th grade. And this is another humbling thing. I was not the best. Like that team was already established, won a championship, but I was like, I was the guy who was getting 4 plays because I had to, because it was Little League, put it that way. You know what I'm saying? And so I was that guy. And
so we got to hold on, how many plays Branden got? Hold on, we got to put Branden
4 plays in before the game is over.
Go play receiver. It's a run. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what it was. And then that second year, I went to high school. I'm like, I can either play JV or I could play one more year Little League. Thank God I played one more year Little League because I had that confidence. Like, okay, I'm a starter. I'm doing my thing. Like, I can play the sport. And so I think those 2 instances established my confidence just in general, like just in life. And I'll say athletically, and then academically, I was always good academically, so I was always confident in that. So I think the confidence in those 2 instances allowed me to just like, Branden, you're good. Branden, you can do it. And I guess one last thing, when I went to visit like MAC schools like Toledo, Western Michigan, I'm measuring up with guys. Like I'm 5'11", 170, 75, looking at them in the eye like, okay, like these guys are playing, then I could play, So all those experiences allowed me to gain confidence in myself. And I just carry that over, man. Like, being undrafted, like, I tell people, like, just keep putting the work in. Like I had 1 interception. I was not all MEAC. I was not no preseason nothing. But I got a shot at the league. You know what I'm saying? That's not happening to a lot of guys. And playing in 2 leagues at that. Like, yes, it won forever, but I was in there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think the confidence, and that's just investing in yourself, like just put in the work academically, put in the work athletically to make sure that if your number is called, you don't get passed up. You see what I'm saying? Because even like in the lockout year, like there wasn't a formal. I mean, there was a draft, but it wasn't like afterwards, all the undrafted free agent stuff. It waited till days before. So had I graduated and just said, you know what, it's over, and not grinded, I would have went into camp and embarrassed myself. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But I was prepared, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I could rest my head because I did everything I could do in my power to make sure that
Right.
when my number was called, I was prepared
Man.
and let all the chips fall where they may. So,
I love it. I love it. I love
you
it.
know,
The thing that I do want to touch on though is we see a lot of folks, and it's not just ball, people in general. People are really successful at something. They accrue their success through one particular avenue, right? So all the things we're talking about are sports related.
yeah.
You're now doing something non-sports related. What would you tell someone who doesn't have familiarity, exposure in some new thing, and they're
Yeah.
inevitably experiencing that first wave? Because I always say that first 90 days, we could throw anybody out there for that first 90 days. That's straight
Right.
adrenaline, straight
Right.
motivation.
Right.
Post 90 days, how did you maintain your confidence? What did you draw? Did you continue to draw from sports? What was going on there? Talk to
So
somebody who can.
you talking specifically post playing career, like in my
Yeah.
professional career. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you see my sweatshirt, Iota Phi Theta, man. Like that, I was part of organizations, our Michigan club at Howard. I grew up in Tossin Teens, which is kind of similar to Jack and Jill. So
Mm-hmm.
I've done these things outside of sports that I think just gave me range and like because
Mm,
everything I'm doing within that I did within Iota, within the Michigan club, within Tossin Teens, it's all organizational skills, man. Like
right.
what I do for my work as a recruiter for a teacher, I recruited for IOTA, recruiting candidates to be a part of the organization, doing budgets, doing events, like all that stuff. So if anything, and you and I know, we know a gang of guys who poured everything into football and that's all they had. And now that football's over, they're just, they
Yeah.
survive and a living, but like, it's just like kind of regular, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's important for any athlete to just have that range, man.
That
Like get outside of
exposure.
your comfort zone, find out what you're not good at and do it.
Mm,
Meet people outside of the locker room. Like the world is so much bigger than just the locker room. Although the locker room is big as well. Don't get me wrong, people from all over. But and then even playing football. Like I'm 35 now. Like there are like anybody over 30 in the league is very rare. You know what I'm saying? So you think about like that's like a 9 to 10 year sprint that you're doing, and then you're 30, and like 30 is young. So you have so much life ahead of you, man. So it's uber important that you do things outside of that sport
hmm
to just broaden your horizons.
Yeah. No, I agree. And we talk about, I mean, we've been fortunate, we've been blessed to have that exposure that's kind of helped inform how we think about things. My chief is a lawyer, my mom's is a doctor. So my mind
Right.
before football was already like, oh, okay, there's different
That's
things
cool.
to do.
Right.
when it comes to like I said, for those guys, speaking to the guys who are kind of in that slump, what would be, because you're in education, there's when I talk to you, I mean, I'm always learning something. People are learning something right now as they're meeting you.
Yeah, yeah.
Talk to me about demystifying the stigma around sitting down and educating yourself around something new, because you have experience recruiting teachers but also educating students. Talk to me about what helps someone get past that hurdle and succeed in their skill development, or learning more about the things that they're interested in.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that sit down period, man, because Casey and I on a date last night talked about how, I was writing my thesis on the bus, headed to work. We went from 2 cars to 1 car, 2 incomes to 1 income, and here we are thriving. You know what I'm saying? So, and mind you, that sit down time ain't got to be long. Like I said, just a solid year of dedicated sitting down and just sacrifice will really set you up. So I think just sit down for a year, and sit down looks like maybe moving back in with your people, but being low key, or just getting a roommate, or just decreasing your liabilities and your
Overhead. Yep.
income or your expenses as much as possible, and just learning, man. So there's so much information on this internet that we have,
hmm
and not on Instagram, but so much information that you can use that can be beneficial. Mind you, I got my information from a podcast. I have to admit, I did follow an IG account, so they did inform me. But like what you pour into yourself is important. So like if you listen to music, listen to Nipsey Hussle, listen to Rick Ross, listen to Payroll Giovanni.
hmm
Those guys will educate, like just getting your mind wrapped around business and money and how you attract it and how you got to learn, how you got to sit down and sacrifice and grind.
Right.
So I think that's important for, and not just an athlete, just anybody. Like, because everything from kindergarten to 12th grade, and even college is planned.
Mm.
Kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, middle school, high school, college. What's next? You know what I'm saying? Figure out what you want to do and just dig deep. As I mentioned before, with me being a third generation landlord, it's like, oh, I kind of am built to be a landlord because 2 generations previous to me have done it. I'm a fourth generation Detroiter. I'm a fourth generation, maybe fifth generation homeowner. Like, this is within me, so I need to do these things. So knowing that you're able to move with a life mission. I come from, all my family's divorced, so nobody's really had that long marriage except for my great grandparents. So, reversing the curse of divorcing the family. So make sure I'm emotionally stable to take on a wife and take on kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's just just a lot of deep thought. And I mean, therapy, man. Like, just talk about your childhood, how you were brought up. Talk about how your parents were brought up. So doing that, like, I even say you speed it up to 6 months. If you do that 6 months of just grinding and finding out more about yourself and what you've experienced and what you want to do, the next years, decades of your life will be fine.
I love that. And going along that note, what things for you work to put you in a space to stay disciplined and organized about pursuing your goals, right? Because you and I know this, there's nothing but order in football, right?
Right.
If I
Right.
asked you what was your day at Howard, I don't know what they were doing at Howard, but I know what it looks like at Hampton. If I asked you what was your day there, what was your day in the league, hey, I'm waking up, I practice, and not only do you know theoretically what you're doing, like, you know to the minute,
Yeah.
this is what I'm doing, this is where I'll be. You
Mm-hmm.
leave ball, you don't have that. You're doing something post ball where, okay, you have a 9 to 5, you're educating yourself. I mean, you're learning, you're developing that skill around, educating the kids, but you're
Mm-hmm.
also learning more about real estate, and you're getting, you're on your way to become an entrepreneur in the real
Yeah.
estate world.
Yeah.
How did you create a system, a program to be able to, execute on that?
Absolutely. I think sport helps that, man, to be honest with you. Because even as you were talking, I'm like, man, there are guys who are on the team but just misuse their time while on the team because they didn't graduate, it didn't, do these things. So, like, just really, and I think that comes with knowing what you want, man. Like, I knew when I went to Howard, I'm gonna do a couple things. I'm gonna walk onto this football team, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna get a scholarship off of football. I'm gonna pledge a fraternity, and I'm gonna graduate. Like, those are my goals. Like, I'm doing those things. So it's really about what you want to do, man. And I think setting that structure up, to answer your question directly, is just like seeing how the 24 hours in a day looks. When I learned the stuff about real estate, that was on my commute to work. I had a solid 45 minutes to an hour where I wasn't driving. I was on public transportation. So I could sit down and focus on what was being said to me. So you think about that's 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, 10 hours a week, 40 hours a month of learning real estate stuff. You see what I'm saying? So, and you multiply that by, the months in a year, 40 times 12, whatever the math is on that. That's how much I'm learning in a year just on real estate. You see what I'm saying? So just knowing how time works, knowing how to use it for yourself to your advantage is, I think, the best way to get that structure that you need to to set yourself up.
Got you. What is, we have a lot of, so, we're now starting to look at who's listening, and it's a pretty good range, but it's typically 18 to 35 is kind of who's
Sure.
listening to the show the most. So going to that 22-year-old, 21-year-old coming out of college,
Yeah.
what is something you thought you knew 100%? You're like, man, I know this to be true coming out, that you now know that
It's not true.
that's not it. That's not.
Mm-hmm.
It could be something on the business front. It could be something on the social front. What's
Mm-hmm.
something that you thought to be true that wasn't?
Man, so thought to be true, but wasn't true. I don't know, man. I think I had a pretty good grasp on what was real and what wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully to my parents, just being wise, learning from other people's mistakes.
Mm,
So I was never naive, I feel, to what the real was. But I will say sport continues after college because, like, all jobs are not guaranteed, man. Think about it. Like, nepotism is real. And for the benefit, like, if I have a business, I'm hiring people who I know who refer to me, to make it easier. And, like, as a recruiter, we hire a strong 40% of people off referrals. You see what I'm saying? So, like, we're not trying, like, you applying to those jobs is cool, but, like, if you know somebody on the inside, it's even better. So I think the sport continues, and so you got to do everything you can in your power to set yourself apart from other people who are applying to these jobs. So that's why it's important to have that resume padded, man. You got to get that Howard brand, that Hampton brand on there, that IU brand, that Wayne State brand, and know where that brand takes you. So let's talk about that. Howard and Hampton, you can go around the country with that. Wayne State for my master's, I'm kind of keeping myself to Michigan. You see what I'm saying? IU can go all around the country. You know what I'm saying? In case you went to Michigan for undergrad, that takes you all around the country. No knock, but smaller schools. I know you went to Southern Miss. That may be a Mississippi school or just a Southern States school. You see what I'm saying? So know where your network reaches out to and use that to brand yourself. Even down to high school. Like I think about Cass Tech. It's a known school around the country because you got to maintain a 2.5 to stay in there. So you can't just be dumb at Cass Tech. You're coming out at least 2.5.
They kick you out if you don't have
magnet school, baby. We ain't playing with you. You're not playing 2.5 and up, man. And then
you don't get a chance to bounce back. I'm sorry, Federer.
No. Well, I take it back. I have had teammates who have got kicked out, went to their neighborhood school, got 3.8, and then came back in the cast. So that has happened.
But you
2.5, man. It's real life. So I say all that to say, man, like you gotta. Every move you make will help up will set up the next move.
Right.
So make sure you go to the right schools for undergrad. For high school, for undergrad. Like my daughter is 7. I'm already planning her high school and her college. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So high school, college, masters. Where you work? Casey's worked at Michigan. I work at KIPP. KIPP is the largest charter school network in the country. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I've worked in DCPS, which is a highly known urban school district in the country. So like make sure you're branding yourself to put yourself in a place to where you'll be good and you can go anywhere. So
right, man, I love it. I really appreciate your time, brother. I'm so happy we could make this happen. If people want to reach out to you, what is the best way for them to connect with you? And if you can get particular around, the language you'd like to see and how they connect with you, appreciate that as well. Because sometimes, we ask people on the pod, hey, how would you want people to connect with you? People just get flooded with all sorts of spam looking types of messages. So how's it best for people to connect with you if they want to?
Text me 313-598-9647. Let's talk. I love talking about this stuff. I talked to another guy you sent over to my way. I told you, hey, me and old boy talk for 45 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So I love talking about it because I know it's setting up that person and that person's family. You know what I'm saying? So I'm all about that. 313-598-9647. I got all the social media stuff, but call me. Like, let's talk. Talk to me directly. No email. Call me. Text me. I'm always on the phone anyway, so hit me up.
Sincerely. And as far as next steps, is there anything that we should be on the lookout for coming from you? Anything you're working on that you think we should be mindful of? Special projects?
Nothing crazy, man. If you're ever in Chicago, need a rental car, hit me up. Rent my Turo on Instagram. I got actually 9 cars. One just got totaled. Got 9 cars for you if you're ever in Chicago. And if you know anybody in Detroit looking for a house, BuffordProperties.com, BUFFORD Properties.com. I got a rehab about to be done. And same thing, just building the portfolio back home in Detroit, man. So that's it. Just houses. Hey, as I put in my IG profile, bricks and whips, man. So I got these bricks for these houses, got these whips for rent. What's up? Bricks and whips, man.
My dog, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Yes,
this
sir.
was amazing.
Yes,
I can't wait for people to hear this, man. Have a good one.
Man. All right, you too, brother.